Pinball used to be illegal in the state of New York.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh,
And
okay.
so
Did not know that.
Yeah. Stupid, right? And so they actually did a whole film about the guy who made pinball legal by proving it's a game of skill, not a game of chance.
Yeah.
You know, ultimately, like, we really pulled it off. We actually shot the whole feature film in 2 weeks, which was
That's a quick turnaround time.
very quick turnaround. And the reason we did it so quickly was because we were smart on how we planned it and executed it. Like, we would plan entire days that were in a single room in this animal shelter, and then during that time we'd have the grip and electric team setting up the next rooms. And so that way all of the lighting would just stay there, and we'd have like 1 or 2 lights that we'd dance around, but it wasn't like crazy setups every single day. It was already there, just 1 or 2 lights moving around. And so that helped us go really quickly. We had a cast that was really good at memorizing their lines, so that moved
helps.
fast. And so, it was a good time, and, we learned a lot during that time. And ultimately, it was successful. We actually sold that in 30 countries worldwide.
Fantastic.
And, got international distribution for our first feature film, which is not too bad. So can't complain about that.
Can't complain about that. No, that's great. Any certain countries or regions of the world where it has done exceptionally well?
Germany, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Germany loves their horror movies. And so Germany, because usually when you're doing international sales, what happens is a distributor will just sell it territory by territory, and it'll be like a flat price for each territory around the world. And so Germany, since they love horror, they're the ones that tend to pay the most for a horror film. So that was really fun to discover.
Yeah.
Great.
Fantastic. So did you have, of the works whether it's this feature like Dogs or other work that you've done, do you have a favorite freelance project that you were involved with?
Probably Like Dogs.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
just because like that was my first feature film. So like, even though like, I wasn't a perfect producer, I was certainly learning stuff just like everyone else was. It definitely holds a special place in my heart, just because, it was one of those things that we did it and pulled it off. And, it definitely opened up doors that I didn't have before, as a producer. So I'd say that one's definitely my favorite.
Great. Fantastic. So just to kind of transition now a little bit to some of your experiences with Moving Picture Institute and such. You were involved with the Hollywood Career Launch Program.
Yeah.
How did this program help you achieve sort of the level of success that you've achieved in entertainment?
Yeah, of course. So first I got to give a shout out to Moving Picture Institute. So they're an amazing organization. They're a nonprofit, and what they do as a nonprofit is that they actually focus on creating films that are about human freedom. And so, whatever that means to you, it could mean anything. It could be about stupid laws that exist. For example, like, I don't know if you knew this, pinball used to be illegal in the state of New York.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh,
And
okay.
so,
Did not know that.
Yeah. Stupid, right? And so they actually did a whole film about the guy who made pinball legal by proving it's a game of skill, not a game of chance. So that was kind of interesting. It was really well done. They had another one that was made about natural hair. So I don't know if you knew this, but natural hair, that for like Black Americans, if someone wants to open up a salon, right, a natural hair salon, you don't need to use any chemicals or anything like that for it. However, there's certain states that have laws in place that make it so that you have to go through these salon schools to be able to open up a natural hair salon. Well, that creates these unnecessary licenses and barriers to someone opening up a business. And so they actually did a whole film partnering with BET about getting these laws revoked. And so it was an amazing, project that they did. And so it's all about,
moving those barriers, like you said, for those business owners.
Exactly. So it's all about supporting human freedom. And so what they do is they actually identify rising filmmakers that support freedom. And so for me, I'm all about maximizing your ability as an individual to live your own life. I did an interview with them. They recognized that, and then also, thought I was, a very good candidate and brought me in. And they have less than a 1% acceptance rate. So it's actually
Wow.
harder to get into Moving Picture Institute than it is to get into USC, which is absolutely crazy. People don't
Yeah.
realize that. And so all of the people that get into the program are like very, very top tier. Most of them are already working in the industry in some capacity. And the idea is to help them go from where they are now, give them a step up to help them get into some of these studios to help, improve the culture internally as well. So it's an amazing program. And for them, they initially placed me at RPM Talent Agency, where I helped with casting submissions. I did over 300 submissions while I was there, that was really cool. And then also helped with a lot of creative development and pitch decks. And then the following year, I got internship opportunities at Propagate Content, which they do international sales for like a lot of unscripted television. So they do Master Chef and Masked Singer, the Bear Grylls shows. And so they do international sales there. I got an internship there, as well as the Producers Guild of America. And, for me, I support myself. I can't really intern for free anywhere, which most people who support themselves, they can't do that. And so one of the things that the Rising Filmmaker program does is they support those people intern at these companies so they can get a full-time job there. So they supported me while I went through there. And then while I was there, that's when I got the job offer from AMGI Studios. So it was kind of interesting how that all worked out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like a wonderful program. It sounds like a wonderful goal that certainly that they have in mind, this Moving Picture Institute and what they're trying to do, again, promoting freedom and identifying these filmmakers and really obviously a very competitive program to get into, like you said, 1%. So that's great that you've had that experience and all that. So do you still, in terms of your involvement with them now, is it one of those things that you're still involved with them, or do they bring you back to be a speaker or something like that to their?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I speak for them. I also help them with finding intern placements as well, because it's one of those things that they help me, I want to help them and pay it forward. That's just the way it works. I do believe in helping uplift as many people as possible all at once, and they're a great program because they're pre-vetted, right? Like I know that whoever goes through that program will be top tier, and I have full confidence trying to find a opportunity for them. And so it's amazing, and I love their mission, and because it's entertainment, right? Like if you don't have artistic freedom of expression, it just becomes propaganda at a certain point. So it's important that we help protect the integrity of artists and individuals.
Yeah, fully agree. We definitely need to do that and give people full creative reign to do it, to tell the stories they want to tell. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Share their perspective. So you mentioned about Propagate, working international sales and distribution for them.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about some of the skills that you learned working with Propagate and sort of how that maybe has helped you in your current role?
Yeah, I mean, Propagate was amazing. Like, I was only there for about 2 months. They were training me to be an executive assistant to the president of international sales, and while I was there, I learned so much about how international sales are done, from how you interact with the different executives around the world to acquire the content, how you just go back and forth to try to figure out the exact terms of the agreement, making term sheets, tracking the rights to make sure you're not selling it in a territory you've already sold it in. So it was a lot of that, and so you got to really get a good overview of how international sales for a company works. And so that was a very fun experience. I did end up heading over to AMGI very quickly after 2 months. It wasn't because they were bad or anything like that. I was really looking for something in animation, and that was an opportunity to kind of take my career more that direction. When
Sure.
I wish I could have had more time at Propagate for sure, because I loved working for Cyrus and the whole team there, but it was one of those things that like I had to make the right decision for myself, and when an opportunity opens up, you just sometimes got to take a leap of faith and just go for it. And ultimately that definitely paid off, because within a couple of years I'm a producer and making big things happen.